The story starts with our female lead, Yusing, being kicked out of her house by her landlord. She can't afford the rent. Yusing is really sad and explains, "My landlord raised the rent 4 times since I graduated. This is the second time she's had to move. Her landlord even throws out her wash basin. Then it starts to rain, and she doesn't have an umbrella, but she's happy because she can use her wash basin as an umbrella." We then meet the male lead, Liu Yuhan, who is Yusing's boss. He's really neat and organized. He asks Yusing, "Get me 2 cups of coffee from the rooftop." She goes to get the coffee, but sees her boss talking to someone and decides not to interrupt. Yusing gets a call from her aunt's lawyer saying, "Your aunt have a house you can move into." Excited, Yusing packs her things and goes to the house. It's huge and luxurious, and she loves it. But then she sees her boss in the house. She realizes, "I've gone to the wrong house. The one she was supposed to move into is next door." So she packs up and heads to the next door. But this house is too small. The next morning, a lady brings her the electricity bill and asks for payment. Yusing thinks the bill is too high and asks for a discount, but the lady says no. Just then, her boss shows up and she tells the lady, "He's my boss. He will pay the bill." Hearing this, he goes inside. Later, Yusing is trying to save money, so she's eating cheap snail noodles. The noodles smell awful, and her boss complains about the smell. He goes to her place to tell her. Later, Yusing tells her friend Xiao Xiao, "It's hard living next to my boss. I have to deal with the smell of my noodles and the loud music I play." Later, Yusing goes to shopping and is about to buy something when she realizes she doesn't have enough money. Liu Yuhan is at the same shop and pays for her. At work, her friend Xiao Xiao tells her, "Our boss is going to fire you." To save her job, she goes to his house to beg him, but she sees him in a cartoon nightsuit and takes pictures using them to blackmail him. She says, "If you fire me, I'll show these pictures to everyone." Liu Yuhan calls Yusing to the rooftop and asks her, "Delete the pictures." Yusing wants something in return. She makes him sign a contract. "You have to greet me whenever we meet. I will eat snail noodles 3 times a week, so don't complain about anything I do in the house." He doesn't agree, so she says, "Fine, I'll risk getting fired." During a meeting, Liu Yuhan asks for a file. Yusing brings it to him, and when he opens it, he sees the pictures she took. He's shocked and closes the file. He finishes the meeting without looking at the file again. Later, he goes to her house and shows her the contract. He says, "I signed it, so delete the pictures." She does. He then asks to see her phone to make sure she deleted the pictures. She falls, but he catches her. In the next scene, Liu Yuhan's friend calls him and says, "I'm outside your house." Just then, Xiao Xiao then goes to Yusing's house. She looks very pretty, and Liu Yuhan can't stop looking at her. He asks Yusing, "Change the contact," but she goes inside without listening. Later, Yusing is working late and receives a message that her salary is being increased. Then, she tells Liu Yuhan, "You increased my salary, even though I was mean to you." He replies, "Even though you're shameless, but you do great work." Later, Yusing starts working hard and putting in extra hours. We then see Liu Yuhan getting sick, so Yusing makes him ginger tea and brings some medicine. She tells him, "Drink the tea and take the medicine." Saying this, she leaves. When she gets back to her house, she starts feeling sick too and takes some medicine. She notices, "The medicine is expired. It's been expired for 2 years. She rushes to his place to tell him, but he's unconscious from taking the expired medicine. She checks him if he's dead, but is relieved to see he's still breathing. She says, "Thank God, he is alive." Now, he is at her place because she had left ginger tea cooking on the stove. The tea caught fire, and she had taken him to her house to escape. Her aunt arrives and complains about the fire. Liu Yuhan apologizes and says, "I'll be more careful." She asks him, "What are you doing at this house?" Liu Yuhan thinks that she's talking about Yusing, and he says, "This is my girlfriend." Hearing this, her aunt leaves. Yusing asks him, "Why did you tell my aunt that I'm your girlfriend? What if she misunderstood about me?" He asks her, "Go to Yu house," but she says, "You're at my house right now." He asks, "Why I am at my house?" She replies, "Because your house is on fire." He says, "Because of your ginger tea, my house is on fire." Liu Yuhan goes to check out his house and then returns to Yusing's place, asking, "Where should I stay?" She tells him, "You can live at my house, but you have to stay on the couch because the bedroom is only for me." She offers him breakfast, but he says, "I want expensive breakfast. Actually, I don't want to eat anything you give me because you might poison me." She assures him the breakfast is fresh, and he finally agrees to eat. While eating, he wonders, "Why is she letting me stay?" She tells him, "You just have to pay the rent." He says, "I'd rather sleep on the street than pay you rent." He goes back to his company to stay, but he dreams about someone jumps from the building, and that was so scary. He wake her up, scared. Meanwhile, Yusing is looking for a new place to live when Liu Yuhan shows up and says, "I want to stay at your house." She agrees and asks him, "Come in." As soon as he enters, he falls. Yusing helps him. He faints because he isn't feeling well. Xiao Xiao arrives just in time and gives him an injection. She reassures Yusing he'll be fine after taking some medicine. Yusing thanks her. Xiao Xiao asks Yusing, "Why is your boss at your house?" Yusing explains, "Because of me, his house caught on fire." Xiao Xiao then asks, "Are you going to stay at your boss's house?" Yusing doesn't respond. The next morning, Yusing brings breakfast for Liu Yuhan. He asks, "What did you do to take care of me last night?" She replies, "Yes." Then she hands him another contract. He asks, "What is this?" She explains, "You will stay in my house, but you have to pay rent. I'm now your landlord." He protests, but she insists and says, "I took care of you last night. Be kind." She then shakes his hand and says, "From now on, we'll share this house." Then she adds, "I didn't wash my hands after coming from the toilet." Startled, he quickly tries to move away from her. She says, "I was just joking." Later, Yusing is putting away her clothes when her bra falls off. She says, "Where did it go? I remember bringing it." As she looks for it, Liu Yuhan walks in. Embarrassed, she quickly sits down on bra. He asks, "What are you doing?" She replies, "I fell." He offers his hand to help her up. She thinks, "He is helping me. He's not so bad after all." Then he says, "It'll cost you 10 yen for me to help you up." She replies, "So that's why you wanted to help me. I won't ever take help from you again." He leaves. Later, Liu Yuhan is in the washroom and realizes there's no toilet paper. He asks Yusing for some, but she makes him transfer 15 yen to her account. Left with no choice, he agrees. Yusing laughs when she sees him wearing cartoon socks. Embarrassed, he goes to change. During dinner, Liu Yuhan asks, "What are you eating?" She replies, "I made this. You should try it." He says, "I don't want to eat poisoned food." She defends herself, "I'm a good cook. Don't say such things about my food." He says, "Give me the ingredients and I'll cook myself." He then cooks dinner. When Yusing tastes his food, she is surprised. "This is really good. I didn't know you could cook like this. You should open a restaurant." He replies, "Bring the money." Confused, she asks, "Why?" He explains, "You can't eat this dinner for free because I had to buy ingredients myself." Then Xiao Xiao comes to the house. His friend Hang Duan also comes by following her. He asks, "What are you doing here?" Liu Yuhan replies, "My house caught on fire, so I came here." Hang Duan looks at Xiao Xiao and says, "She's so beautiful." But when Liu Yuhan looks, it's Yusing, and he gets jealous. They all have dinner together. Hang Duan suggests, "Let's add each other on WeChat." Yusing gives him her ID. Liu Yuhan, jealous, says, "You don't even know him and you're adding him on WeChat already?" Hang Duan then asks Xiao Xiao to add him, but she declines, saying, "I don't know you." Liu Yuhan laughs. Hang Duan asks Yusing to create a group, saying, "We are neighbors, we needs help each other." She agrees and starts creating the group. Xiao Xiao takes her inside, and Liu Yuhan, feeling uneasy, says, "It's late, you should go." Saying this, he throws him out of the house. Meanwhile, Yusing asks Xiao Xiao, "What happened?" She replies, "Your boss is a good person, but his friend is crazy." Yusing simply says, "Oh." Later, Hang Duan calls Yusing. Liu Yuhan asks, "Was that Xiao Xiao's call?" She says, "No, it was Hang Duan." He, again jealous, comments, "You exchanged numbers so quickly." She replies, "Yes, he's quite funny." He asks, "What did he say?" She tells him, "He invited me to join a group." She thinks to herself, "Looks like there's a misunderstanding with my boss." Liu Yuhan then gives her a lot of work, trying to keep her busy so she can't talk to Hang Duan. Later, he asks, "Why are you constantly on your phone?" She replies, "Hang Duan invited me to a movie. We're going together." Jealous again, Liu Yuhan says, "You've known each other for only a few days and now you're going to a movie together?" She replies, "Yes, we're good friends on WeChat now." We then see Hang Duan treating Yusing to coffee. He says, "Your friend Xiao Xiao is a doctor, right? Can you ask her to check on me?" Yusing responds, "You look perfectly fine." He replies, "Yes, but my body's not working properly." Later, Liu Yuhan invites Yusing to dinner, but she texts him, "I'm having dinner with Hang Duan. Don't wait for me." Furious, Liu Yuhan becomes even more jealous as they spend more time together. When Yusing returns home, she notices a lot of food on the table. She asks, "Did you make all this for me?" Liu Yuhan replies, "Why would I make it for you? The ingredients were in the fridge, so I made it." She smells the food and comments, The food from the restaurant Hangduan took me to was delicious. Liu Yuhan's jealousy grows even stronger. Later, Yusing is eating snail noodles, and the smell is unbearable for Liu Yuhan. He complains, "When I'm not home, you can eat whatever you want." She replies, "I'm the landlord. I can do whatever I want." He grabs perfume and starts spraying the house, while Yusing grabs a guitar and starts playing. Then Liu Yuhan brings a band and both of them start making noise. The doorbell rings and Yusing mutters, "Don't tell me it's my aunt again to complain." When she opens the door, it's her colleague from the office. She says, "Why is there so much noise coming from your house? I brought snail powder for you." She tries to enter, but Yusing asks her to wait. Then she says to Liu Yuhan, "My colleague is here. Hide quickly. She shouldn't know you're staying here." He hides Liu Yuhan and lets her college in. Liu Yuhan needs to use the toilet. He texts her, "I need to go to the toilet, so send your friend out of here quickly." But Yusing doesn't respond to his texts. He calls her too, but she cuts the call. Frustrated, he comes out. Her friend asks, "Boss, why are you here?" She realizes the situation. Yusing asks her to keep this secret hide. After her colleague leaves, Yusing asks him, "Why you came out?" He replies, "I had to go to the toilet. I even called you, but you disconnected. I had no other choice but to came out." She says, "She'll tell everyone at the office we're living together. They'll start gossiping about us." He apologizes, but she pulls out her phone and says, "Say sorry again. I need to record it." Shocked, he asks, "Are you crazy?" She says, "I was joking." In the next scene, a display board at the company is about to fall, but Liu Yuhan saves Yusing, getting a scratch on his hand in the process. She quickly takes care of his wound. Liu Yuhan smiles and says, "I saved you. Now you owe me." She treats him with snail noodles. He says, "Roar, this is a coffee shop and you're giving me noodles?" She replies, "These noodles are like you. They look bad from the outside, but are good on the inside." He smiles and takes a bite. Later, Yushing's shoelace comes undone, and Liu Yuhan bends down to tie it. She notices a leaf on his coat and says, "There's a bug on your coat." He panics. "Get it off quickly." She removes it and laughs. "It's just a leaf." She starts teasing him, and he playfully chases her, but she runs away. Then we see someone watching them. He and Yusing go shopping together. Liu Yuhan asks Yusing, "Where are you going for your 3-day vacation?" She replies, "I will spend my vacation at home, watching movies and eating snacks." He asks, "Do you spend all your vacations like this?" She replies, "Yes." She's buying snacks when she realizes she doesn't have enough money. Liu Yuhan pays for her, and she thanks him. We then see Yusing massing the whole house. Liu Yuhan tells her, "Clean it." She says, "Don't worry, it will take me just a minute to clean this." Liu Yuhan comes back after some time, but she still hasn't cleaned. She's enjoying her snacks. He tells her, "Clean quickly," and leaves. He comes back a third time, but she still hasn't cleaned. Liu Yuhan is annoyed and cleans the house himself. Yusing then says, "You cleaned everything so quickly. You should start a cleaning company." Meanwhile, Hangduan comes to Yushing's house with a bowl of soup, saying, "Xiao Xiao likes this soup. I will cook for her." At that moment, the lady from earlier comes there and stops Hangduan. She asks him, "What are you doing here at midnight?" He says, "I was going to room number 2301. The lady tells him, "A couple stays there. Are you going to check on them?" Hangduan says shockingly, "They are a couple?" The lady replies, "Yes." Liu Yuhan goes to meet Hangduan and asks him, "Why didn't you come inside? My aunt told me that you came here." Hangduan says, "I didn't come here to meet you." Liu Yuhan asks, "Why are you suddenly angry?" Hangduan replies, "We are brothers. Why did you hide this from me that you like her?" Liu Yuhan thinks he's talking about Yusing, but Hangduan is actually talking about Xiao Xiao. Liu Yuhan says, "Why would I like her?" Hangduan says, "We liked the same girl in high school. Liking someone is natural. There is no doubt about that." He then leaves. Later, Hangduan asks Yusing, "When is Xiao Xiao coming back home?" She replies, "She is working late. She's busy. I don't know when she'll come back." Then Liu Yuhan comes there and gets jealous seeing them both together. He sits between them. Hangduan says, "I am hungry." He asks Liu Yuhan to get him some snacks. Yusing says, "I will get them." Hangduan tells her, "You are the guest. Don't get them." Yusing replies, "Why are you calling me a guest in my own house?" Hangduan says, "Is this house yours?" She replies, "Yes." Hangduan says in a confusing manner, "Is this not Xiao Xiao's house?" Liu Yuhan asks, "Why would it be hers?" Hangduan says, "I saw Xiao Xiao coming to this house for the first time. Does Xiao Xiao not stay here?" She replies, "No." Liu Yuhan then realizes that Hangduan actually likes Yusing, not Xiao Xiao. Yusing asks Hangduan, "So you like Xiao Xiao?" He replies in a shy manner, "Yes." Liu Yuhan says, "You kept coming here to meet Xiao Xiao?" Hang Duan says, "Of course." Liu Yuhan then feels relieved as he knows that Hang Duan doesn't like Yusing. Then, at the office, Yushing's colleague is talking to her when Liu Yuhan comes and asks Yusing, "Wait for me after work." Then we see that the lady was watching them all this time. She brings information about Liu Yuhan to another lady. Meanwhile, Yusing gets upset to Liu Yuhan and doesn't speak. Liu Yuhan asks her, "What happened?" She says, "What was the need to said, 'Wait for me'? The whole company is gossiping about us." Liu Yuhan asks her, "About what?" She replies, "They think that we are dating." Liu Yuhan smiles. She then says, "The whole company knows that we are living together." Liu Yuhan is standing near her. She stops him and says, "Stay away from me. I don't want to hear any more gossip." He says, "I am your boss." She says, "I am your landlord, so stay away from me." Then, Liu Yuhan teases her by asking her to clean his messy office room. She asks, "Your room isn't messy? It is clean." He says, "My aunt must have cleaned it in the morning." Then he asks her to get him some coffee to tease her. Yusing brings him the coffee. He then says, "I'm hungry. Go and get me some food." She says, "I am not your assistant." She leaves in annoyance. Then, Liu Yuhan keeps Yusing at the office for overtime. Then he sees a man is falling from the building. Liu Yuhan is shocked, and his health deteriorates. He tells Yusing, "Someone jumped from the building. Call the police quickly." He then goes to the rooftop. Yusing tells him, "I called the property management. They said no one jumped from the building. Everything is normal. Maybe some stuff fell." Liu Yuhan becomes depressed and doesn't say anything. Yusing tries to talk to him, but he doesn't say anything. She sits beside him and puts her head on his shoulder. She then falls asleep. Liu Yuhan smiles. She wakes up. He tells her, "Go back home." Yusing holds his hand and they both leave together. Then she gives him banana milk. She tells him, "This is your favorite. I had brought it for you, but I forgot to give it to you." The next morning, Liu Yuhan makes breakfast and asks Yusing to have breakfast. He thanks her for taking care of him the previous day. Yusing is about to leave for the office, but Liu Yuhan is waiting for her. He says to her, "My car broke down. Can you give me a ride to the office?" She agrees and asks him to wear a helmet. He says, "Can I wear it without earplugs?" She says, "No, you can take a taxi." He then wears the helmet and they both are about to leave, but the lady comes back. She tells Yusing, "Return the scooter to the property management. You two can't go together. The police will arrest you and seize the scooter." Yusing says, "I'm so unlucky." Then, in a fit of anger, Yusing throws out all of Liu Yuhan's belongings from the house and changes the password. He calls her and asks, "What did you do?" She says, "You can't stay with me now." She then hangs up. He says, "I can't be thrown out so easily." He then calls her and says, "I have left my slippers in the house." She says, "I threw them away." He says, "I'm hungry. I need to take my snacks from the fridge." He asks her to open the door and finally she agrees. We then see Liu Yuhan having dinner. Yusing tells him, "You have to go back home after eating these dumplings." He replies, "No, I have to eat snail noodles." She brings them to him. Even after that, he doesn't leave. She then takes him and leaves. She then shares this whole situation with Xiao Xiao. She tells her, "Check me. I think I'm sick." Xiao Xiao checks her and says, "Your heartbeat increased when you talked about your boss. It seems you're in love with your boss." Yusing says, "That's not possible. I am not crazy. I will not like him." At office, Yusing is leaving when she asks her, "You're leaving so early?" "It's too early." She replies, "Your boss has increased your working hours." She then leaves. Then Yusing receives a text from Xiao Xiao saying, "Today is your birthday. I am on leave. I am at your boss's house. We will celebrate it together." Yusing goes back home. Xiao Xiao and Hang Duan are decorating. Hang Duan is inflating balloons. Balloon is about to explode in front of Yusing when Liu Yuhan puts his hand on her ear. They both look at each other. Then, they all fall asleep after celebrate. Yusing wakes up Liu Yuhan and tells him, "Get Hang Duan and Xiao Xiao out of the house." She remembers when she accidentally went to Liu Yuhan's house, the password was also the same, so she thinks that today is also his birthday. She gives him a Doraemon gift and wishes him happy birthday. She says, "Our house password was the same. It is your birthday too, right?" He says, "The password was not my birthday date. Today is not my birthday." He then tries to take the gift back, but she snatches it away. He asks her, "Why did you give me a Doraemon gift?" She says, "Hang Duan told me that you live alone." He replies, "I want to stay in your house." She says, "My house is messy, but if you want to stay here, you're welcome." He smiles. She then says, "I will get you water." He stops her, grabs her close, and kisses her. Then he asks her to go out for lunch with him. She says shyly, "I have an appointment." He then thinks, she must be going for lunch with Hang Duan. Then he asks Hang Duan, "Did you invite Yusing for lunch?" He replies, "No." He then thinks, "Where did she go?" Hang Duan tells him. She went to the land bridge. Liu Yuhan asks, how do you know? Hang Duan says, I am in a group chat with Yusing and Xiao Xiao. She has an appointment with her senior. Then they both rush to the land bridge. Yuxing's senior invites her for lunch. Just then, Hang Duan arrives and pours soda on her senior. He then takes Yuxing with him. He tells her, your senior is a cheater. Liu Yuhan and I came to save you. Later, she tells Liu Yuhan, I have 2 questions for you. First, did you follow me today? Hang Duan had told me that. He says, yes, to save you from being fooled by that cheat. He is a bad person. He owes money to so many people. Then he asks her the second question. She asks, do you like me? He looks at her. She starts blushing and says, I was just asking. He comes closer to her and kisses her and says, yes, I like you. Later, we see Liu Yuhan waiting for Yuxing to go to the office with her. His aunt approaches and asks, what are you doing here? He replies, I am waiting for my girlfriend. Just then, Yuxing steps out, and they both leave for the office together. At the office, Liu Yuhan hands Yuxing a candy and leaves. Along with the candy is a note that reads, I will wait for you for lunch. As Yuxing heads toward the elevator with him, she recalls the office gossip and says, I can't go with you. You go alone. Liu Yuhan grabs her hand and pulls her into the elevator. He says, the whole office knows about us. Why hide it now? They head out for lunch together. When they both about to leave, Hang Duan shows up and interrupts. Yuxing asks him, why are you here? He replies, I came to have lunch with you. Taking the candy from Yuxing, he says, this candy is Shenshen's favorite. Shenshen's birthday is the same as yours. I don't know how you both have the same taste. Liu Yuhan calls him to his office and asks, why did you come here? Hang Duan answers, I came to tell you that your mom is here. Liu Yuhan is shocked by the news. At home, Yuxing wonders, who is this Shenshen? Our birthdays are the same, so Liu Yuhan's house password must be Shenshen's birthday. Is she his ex-girlfriend? She texts Liu Yuhan, asking, who is Shenshen? He calls her and says, Shenshen is at my house. If you want to meet her, come over. She wants to meet you. Scoffing, Yuxing responds, I'm coming. I'm not scared of anyone. She prepares and heads over to his house. When she arrives, she apologizes. Sorry for keeping you waiting. Where is Shenshen? He tells her, she's asleep in my bedroom. Shocked, she exclaims, she's sleeping in your bedroom? At that moment, Shenshen emerges from the room and asks, are you Yuxing? Yuxing is stunned to see Liu Yuhan's mom. He explains, this is my mother. His mom invites Yuxing to join them for dinner. Yuxing asks, Shenshen is your mom? I thought Shenshen was your ex-girlfriend. Confused, Liu Yuhan asks, are you talking about Shenshen? Shenshen comes out and says, I am Shenshen, and adds, this is your girlfriend? She's not very smart. Liu Yuhan defends her. Don't say that. My girlfriend is smart. Go and have dinner with mom. Yuxing is left stunned. After dinner, his mom and sister left. Then, Liu Yuhan tells Yuxing about his family. He shares, my mom and dad were married 20 years ago. They had me and Shenshen. But after 5 years, my mom left with Shenshen. My father was mentally ill, and my mom left me behind. After all these years, my mom has returned. I've never seen my parents love each other, so I don't know what love between two people is like. I want to learn that from you. Can you teach me how to love? Yuxing reassures him, don't worry, we will make our loving life very memorable. Later, Hang Duan tells her about Liu Yuhan's psychological condition. He reveals, 5 years ago, someone jumped from a building that Liu Yuhan had designed. It deeply affected him, and he stopped working on the building. The incident's shadow still lingers in his mind. Yuxing realizes she needs to help him move past the trauma. Later, Yuxing tells Liu Yuhan, we should do something that makes us happy, but he thinks that she wants to be transferred to the design department, so he transfers her. When she finds out, she is upset. He defends himself. You said we should do what makes us happy. She clarifies, I was talking about you, not me. I know what happened to you 5 years ago. Liu Yuhan stops her and they argue. Later, he sends food for her through her colleague. Her colleague tells her, your boss announced to everyone in the office that you two are in a relationship. Feeling guilty, Yuxing goes to Liu Yuhan's house and apologizes. They resolve the issue. Yuxing tells Liu Yuhan, I shouldn't be a designer. My dad was also a creative designer. But after a consumer's accident, he couldn't handle it and committed suicide. Liu Yuhan responds, I understand. Yuxing says, if you think I'm capable of working in the design department, I will try. She then asks him to sign a love contract with certain conditions. You will never increase my salary, never promote me, but must pay for my overtime. She also writes that if they ever fight, both must apologize. Liu Yuhan agrees and signs the contract. Yuxing packs her things and says, I'm going to greet my fourth uncle. Liu Yuhan offers, I will come with you. She stops him saying, I will stay overnight at my aunt's place. You can't come. Later, Liu Yuhan calls her saying, it's been 2 days since you left. When will you come back? I miss you a lot. Come back soon. Meanwhile, she arrives at her aunt's place to find no one there. After calling her aunt, she discovers that the house has been sold. She wonders, who bought the house? Just then, Liu Yuhan's mom arrives and reveals, I bought your house. Yusing is scared, thinking she will ask Liu Yuhan to break up with her, but her fears are unfounded. Liu Yuhan's mom instead asks her a favor. Showing her a photo, she says, the person who jumped from the building 5 years ago was your father. Yusing is shocked. Liu Yuhan's mom explains, that incident deeply affected Liu Yuhan. I need you to help him move past it. Later, Yusing shares the story with Xiao Xiao, who suggests, I have a plan. Yusing calls Liu Yuhan and says, there's been a car accident. I'm scared. He rushes to her and asks, what kind of accident? Are you okay? She explains, I went to buy a cake. Shop owner was about to leave, but she stopped for me, and then her accident happened. It's all my fault. He consoles her. It's not your fault. It was the driver's. Don't blame yourself. She adds, the accident 5 years ago was not your fault. She then admits, I lied. There was no accident. Realizing the plan, he says, you did all this because of that incident. I don't blame myself for that. She then reveals, the person who died in that accident was my father. Feeling guilty, Liu Yuhan apologizes. If I hadn't designed that building, your father would still be alive. She reassures him, it wasn't your fault. Some things are beyond our control. Hugging him, she says, forget the shadow of the past and create new beautiful memories. Love is the most powerful thing in the world. I'll help you move on from this. Later, she goes to Liu Yuhan's house, but it's dark. She wonders, did I take the wrong path? As she searches for him, he jumps out wearing a scary mask. Frightened, she faints. When she wakes up, Xiao Xiao and Heng Duan are with her. Xiao Xiao says, you had a fever, but you're fine now. Take care. They leave. Yusing scolds Liu Yuhan. You scared me? He smiles and teases her with the mask again. Liu Yuhan then packs all of Yushing's belongings and moves her to his house. He takes her to the rooftop and says, I'm going back to Incheon. She asks, are you finishing your building work again? He replies, yes. She is overjoyed. The series then highlights all the important moments they've shared together. This is the end of the drama. Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the videos.